First of all, you get Stalin telling certain people that, we're not going to support you because you're taking British money to kill Red Army soldiers. And we shed our blood to liberate you. Now you're killing us, taking British money. We got problems. And I'm going, really? Did they really take British money? And then you study and you find out that half the Polish, the people that were part of the London group of Poles, were working for British Special Operations Executive to collect intelligence against the Soviet target, and then later to create armed resistance against the Red Army. And suddenly, this whole concept of Stalin being the bad guy becomes a little bit more complicated than that. I'm not here to say that everything the Russians did. I'm not saying that Russia didn't have, or the Soviet Union didn't have some ulterior motives and all that stuff. But it ain't black and white, ladies and gentlemen. History is a lot more complicated than you might possibly think. And when you get British intelligence involved, and I know because I worked very closely with British intelligence for a period of time, for MI6, for the Defense and Intelligence Service, for others, GCHQ, they're eavesdroppers. I work with all of them very intimately, and I know how they operate. I know what they do. I know who they are, and they cause trouble around the world. There's a term, again, boxing term. First of all, I have to tell everybody, I boxed a little bit, but it was only recreational. I never got in a fight in my life, and I just tried to get in shape. But I love boxing. I love the concept of boxing as an athletic event. But there's a term, punching above your weight. So if you're somebody who's very aggressive, and you come in and you start punching, it's like a middleweight going up against a heavyweight. Not a good thing to do. Heavyweight knocks you out. British intelligence has been punching above its weight for some time now. They're out there. They're small, but they think they're capable of accomplishing really, really big things, and sometimes they do. But one of the things they wanted to accomplish, getting back to the original question, is they wanted to collapse Russia by supporting all these elements that were conspiring against the new Bolshevik government during the Russian Civil War.
One more, but I have to address the boxing thing because even though I'm a martial artist, my favorite martial art is boxing. Even though I'm not a boxer, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, blue belt in Jiu-Jitsu, blue belt in Judo. I'm a student instructor in Nabard Combat and a black belt in Yoshikai. I've been doing that all my life. My brothers, my father, it's just, and even my children do it. I had to say that because I love boxing. When you brought up boxing, my mom, when I go over to her house, sometimes she said, you love boxing. I just love the sweet science. But
something else.
Yeah. Alexandria Black says, why were they furious at that piece? I think she's referring to what China just did with Saudi Arabia in Iran. Could you address her question?
Well, sure. First of all, it disrupts everything. All we have to do is go back a couple years in the final moments of the Trump administration, and they came up with a deal they called the Abrams Accords. The Abrams Accords were basically where the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, I think, were agreeing to normalize relations with Israel, to open up embassies, to exchange. And that was seen as an opportunity to get Israel plugged into the Gulf Arab world. They wanted Saudi Arabia to normalize, Kuwait to normalize, etc. And the idea wasn't to make peace break out. It was the opposite. The idea was to have that crescent of conflict that we talked about between the Saudis, Saudi-controlled Arabs, now infused with Israeli support against Iran. And that's what everybody bet down on. That's the whole American strategy in the Middle East, is contingent upon Saudi Arabia, backed by Israel, working with other Gulf Arab states to contain and then ultimately defeat Iran through chaos and conflict. And so when China steps in and says, we're not going to play that game, we're going to make peace instead, we just disrupted everything. The entire American vision of what we wanted to do in the Middle East has been wiped clean. Not only that, they've taken Saudi Arabia out of our exclusive orbit. See, the importance of Saudi Arabia is all about oil. Now, people are going to say, well, come on, Scott, America's self-sufficient in oil. We don't need Saudi oil. Yes, we do, you see, because oil It is a commodity that's traded on the open market. And even if we're self-sufficient in oil, the price of oil is linked to what traders around the world say it should be. And that's why we built Saudi Arabia. Yes, we built Saudi Arabia. We cut a deal with the Saudi king, and we came in, we created something called Aramco, the Arab American Oil Company. And Aramco was built with overcapacity designed in. Now, oil is expensive stuff. You don't find too many nations that build capacity, billion-dollar capacity, and then don't use it. But why would Saudi Arabia do that? Why would Saudi Arabia build 12 million barrel production capacity a day, only produce 9? Because Saudi Arabia is now the gas pedal of the world oil-based economy. And when America picks up the phone and says, Saudi, pump her up, baby, get the oil production up because we need more oil to lower the price. The Saudis go, yes, sir, because you're protecting us from all those evil Iranians with your wonderful military equipment. And we remember how you came to our defense against Iraq back in 1991. So we're with you. And they hit the acceleration button and they do it, even though it disrupts their economy because it's lowering the price of oil and all that. Then we can call them up and say, nah, oil's too low. American producers can't produce. We need to get the price up. Saudi Arabia, take the foot off the pedal, and Saudi Arabia lowers the production. Price of oil goes up, and we're happy. And so America's in control of the global economy just by picking up the phone to the Saudis. That's a little oversimplification, but it's pretty much dead on right. Now, what has Saudi Arabia done? First of all, if you remember last summer, not last summer, was it last summer? Summer 2020, yeah, last summer. Joe Biden in July made his trip to Saudi Arabia. That was the trip where he crawled to Saudi Arabia on his knees. Because you remember when Joe Biden ran for president, he said, I will never do business with Saudi Arabia. They killed Jamal Khashoggi. They cut him up. They butchered his body. They destroyed him in acid, and they are evil, and I will never deal with them. I'm going to treat them like pariahs. They're pariahs. Well, problem is, Joe, those pariahs still have the gas pedal, and suddenly you were confronted, Joe, with a situation where oil prices were crazy, and American oil producers were basically going out of business, and the self-sufficiency aspect was gone, and we were sanctioning Russia, and Russian markets were, and we said, my God, we need those Saudis. So the man you said you would never deal with, the man you said you would treat as a pariah, you would never shake his hand, Joe, would you? Nope, you crawled to him, Joe. Crawled. And you bowed before him, and you kissed his ring, and you shook his hand, and you went in there, and you begged, and you begged, and you begged, and he told you no. He told you no. And that was the beginning of the end. You see, the Saudis are tired of this game. They're tired of America telling them what to do. Saudi Arabia has a vision. They call it 2030, Vision 2030. I think that's still the right number. But the idea is they're going to take this wealth and transform Saudi Arabia because they know, they see the writing on the wall. They're not going to sell oil forever. And they need to start doing more to make the Saudi economy more diverse so that when the global reliance on oil drops, they have something that's there that sustains the wealth and the standard of living that the Saudi people have grown accustomed to. So, it's about societal transformation, building up the infrastructure, everything. But to do that, you need to make money. And being America's gas pedal, you don't make money. Your economy is now held prisoner by America. You're making America money, but you're not making money. So the Saudis are not happy with that. The Chinese, on the other hand, they don't ask the Saudi Arabians to do anything other than sell them oil. The Saudis are going, wait a minute, for 2030 to work, we have to sell oil. China wants to buy oil. They want to buy a lot of oil, and they aren't going to play games. They just want to buy oil. We're going to sell China oil. And then they look over and they're saying, America wants us to go to war with Iran. But we're at war in Yemen with the Houthi. The Iranians support the Houthi. The Iranians gave the Houthi drones. And the drones, they flew in and they shut down our oil production for a while. So if we go to war with Iran, we don't produce oil. We can't sell it to the Chinese. In 2030 will never happen. We'll go back to the Stone Age. America hates us. I think that's what the only conclusion you can reach for a society is America hates us. They want us to do things that are going to result in our destruction. So we're not playing that game anymore. Chinese came in, said, make peace, open up economic opportunities. And Saudi Arabia did that. That's why they hate the peace plan, because this actually brings peace, not conflict. This actually empowers Saudi Arabia and Iran, not the United States. That's why the United States hates it.